Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. The SEC vs. Ripple case is now getting some serious mainstream media attention. We're talking about investigating all sorts of things, including Jay Clayton, William Hinman, Joe Lubin, Consensus, everything that we've been talking about on the Moon Lambeau channel and within the broader XRP community ever since the SEC decided to be completely ridiculous and sue Ripple, claiming that they're selling XRP as an unregistered security. And so the most recent development is that Charles Gasparino, who is with the Fox Business Network, is now talking about this. In fact, just yesterday he had two different segments where he was talking about crypto, but specifically what's happening with Ripple and the SEC. And so he just started jumping into the fray just within like the last 48 hours roughly. And so consider that. Considering that, it's impressive how much he's learned and retained to the point where he could talk about it in a coherent fashion on live television. That's impressive here. And Charles Gasparino, I'm familiar with him because I've seen him on television for like the last decade on Fox Business. So it's very neat to see that the XRP community and what's happening with the SEC versus Ripple case has caught his attention, and he's intent in seriously looking into this. And I'll tell you what, he also uncovered something amazing. Charles Gasparino did in 2018 that just really flew under the radar of really the entire world of crypto. I had not heard of this, or if I did, then it completely just was a blip on the radar. But as you'll see, Joe Lubin was effectively, with Consensus, which he founded, he was basically working with the SEC to, and this is public, like this was publicly announced, this is not a conspiracy thing. Like he was working with the SEC effectively to help regulate the entire crypto space with the SEC. Like you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll give you the specifics here. So there's a lot to unpack here. I just want to get everybody caught up to speed on what's going on with this, but before going any further, I do want to be clear, I don't have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but purely as a hobby, just for fun. That's all that's going on here. And so right here in the top right corner, that is indeed Charles Gasparino, but let's move on. What did attorney John Deaton have to say? Because, of course, John Deaton is the attorney seeking to intervene in the SEC versus Ripple case on behalf of about 19,000 XRP holders. And so Charles Gasparino, again, he was in two different segments and on Fox Business Network just yesterday. And John Deaton retweeted Charles Gasparino sharing one of those here with Liz Clayton. And John Deaton wrote the following: "Outstanding initial reporting for someone who got this dropped on his lap yesterday because the digital asset investor discovered his earlier reporting. Best part of this is," Charles Gasparino states, quote, "I will be reporting more about this in the days and weeks ahead. It's a pretty wild case." Oh, yes, indeed. So I believe him. He's going to be digging into this. And I've always found him to be just an articulate and thoughtful individual. I think, again, I've been seeing him on television for the last decade, and I've found his takes to be interesting. And so he, not surprisingly, being just his position in life, he's got quite a few contacts. And so, as you'll see in a moment, he also was reaching out to people at the SEC. And now there's this. And so there's this tweet from Charles Gasparino. "As I do my reporting on the Ripple case and SEC's definition of what is or isn't a security, I find that SEC Chair Gary Gensler, at least according to past statements, is even more draconian than Jay Clayton. He suggests Ethereum is a security. Try putting that one back in the bottle." Yeah, no kidding. And so Charles quickly found the stuff that we've been talking about within the XRP community rather quickly, and he's right. He's absolutely. And that you may have heard me say this within the last several days more than once. I've said that Gary Gensler is even worse for crypto than Jay Clayton, if you can believe that. That's what it seems to this point. And so that's why everybody was cautiously optimistic, including me. I mean, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I was like, well, could it really be worse than Jay Clayton? It turns out the answer is yes, actually. He's definitely worse than Jay Clayton in terms of just how strict he wants. He basically thinks that everything is a security, with rare exception. And he thinks that he can just go ahead and just morph the Howey test into something that it was never designed to be. And he claims that Congress has just given him power to go ahead and adjust the Howey test however it sees fit. So now, the 4 prongs of the Howey test that are used to determine what satisfies a security, the cryptocurrency doesn't even have to satisfy those 4 prongs anymore for it to be considered a security. That's what Gary Gensler, SEC chairman, has unilaterally decided. So yeah, he's absolutely onto something here. He's definitely onto something. And so I retweeted that and wrote the following: absolutely correct, Charles Gasparino. And I tagged him. Gensler isn't interested in accurately applying the Howey test. Yesterday, when asked how stablecoins could be securities given that Howey requires a likely expectation of profit, Gary said Congress gave the SEC broad scope to define securities. Yes, Gensler is absolutely saying he'll make up new rules and set new legal precedent unilaterally based on how he feels in the moment. He's morphing the Howey test into something unrecognizable. Is Gary the SEC chairman? No, he's actually SEC dictator Gary. This is supremely harmful to crypto/blockchain market participants as they have no legal clarity whatsoever. At any moment, Dictator Gary, along with the rest of the SEC, can decree whatever it is they desire and then claim that there's been sufficient legal clarity all along. And then I shared a clip from CNBC and wrote, this clip illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. And it was covered in this article. I don't really want to read the article. I'll read a quote. But this was from You Today, titled, Senator Pat Toomey wants SEC to provide clarity as to which crypto they view as security. And so Senator Pat Toomey, along with the rest of those individuals in America that are sane, recognize that there is not sufficient legal clarity. Gary Gensler is living in a fantasy land. It's an absolute fantasy land. And here's a quote from Toomey. I'm not in the camp that thinks there should never be any kind of regulation over any kind of cryptocurrency, but I do think there needs to be transparency and objectivity about what we're doing here. And that's the quote. And he's absolutely correct. And then there was this. Charles Gasparino tweeted out the following. Interesting, the more I peel back the onion on cryptocurrency regulations, the more I realize what an arbitrary crap show it is. I hate to say it because I'm a free market libertarian, but Congress desperately needs to write some rules of the road here. Yeah, and so I can sympathize with that because I already think there's just... The government's powerful enough. I'll just basically leave it at that. And there's way more rules for things than there should be. Like when do you see rules repealed? When are things outdated? It's just the endless always new people coming into Congress. There's new rules, and there's a certain loss of freedom along the way, unfortunately. And so Charles Gasparino, I can see why he wrote what I happen to share that mindset. Congress desperately needs to write some new rules of the road here. And so I'll say this. And I'm going to have to talk about this more in a separate video. This one will go too long, and it's a sufficiently separate portion of the topic here. I'd go off on a completely different direction, so I don't want to do that. But I will say this. I don't think, at this point in time, I don't think you need a ton of new rules. I really don't. I think that you just need a little bit of clarity. I don't think you have to throw out the Howey test. Actually, it pretty well works, but you do need to account for decentralization. So I can talk more about that in a separate video, maybe even later today, actually. But if you have that in conjunction with Safe Harbor, from which Hester Peirce has come up with, an SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, I think you're about 90% of the way there, at least. So that's my personal opinion, but I can talk about that more just another time. So I responded to that and I wrote, I believe in the free market too. In this case, however, there is no consistent application of legal enforcement by the SEC in the crypto space. You're absolutely correct, Charles. The government is choosing winners and losers rather than the free market. And then there's this. This is another tweet from Charles Gasparino. He's on this stuff, guys. Breaking, something crypto mom Hester Peirce recently told me, and it rings very true. Without consistent regulations on cryptocurrencies, the SEC will stifle innovation in the US, and innovation will move elsewhere as it is doing. In my humble opinion, maybe that's the government's endgame, to kill the biz. And so, yeah, he's picking up on this stuff real quick. That's for damn sure. And I'll say this. So there are certainly, there's no question about, there are a number of people in the government on the federal level that do want crypto to go away. Like, for instance, Senator Elizabeth Warren, right? So she's one example that's always at the forefront of my mind when I think of stuff like this. But there are all sorts of people on a federal level that also don't want that to happen. And so when you're talking specifically about the people that are at the SEC, I mean, it could be specifically that part of the federal government has a serious issue with this. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're out to protect the legacy financial system. A lot of people in crypto think that, not just in the XRP community. That's plausible. That's possible. We can't get inside the hearts and minds of these individuals working at the SEC, but we can just look at like how they're behaving and observe that. And it does look like they want to light everything on fire and burn it all to the ground. That's what it looks like, and that's what that's what they're striving towards. And so I don't think they're on the right side of the law on this. And so I think they're going to have quite the uphill battle if they actually want to just destroy all of this. I'd say at this point, good luck. You're going to need it. Even like SEC, I get it. You got a certain amount of power, a lot of power. You're still going to need a lot of it because thankfully the judicial system is separate from the SEC. And I believe in general in the United States, more likely than not, more frequently than not, justice actually is done. Even if it's not perfect, it's more close to the right than it is close to wrong. And so I'm optimistic for the future in that regard. And it could not be more clear that XRP and many other cryptocurrencies are not securities, despite what Gary Gensler would have you believe. And so that's my take on it. And then there was another tweet from Charles Gasparino. As I do my reporting on the Ripple case and SEC's definition of what is or isn't a security, I find that Gary Gensler, at least according to past statements... Oh, I'm sorry, that is the one that I just read, isn't it? I apologize. Yeah, that's the... Right? Did I just read that one? Or am I tripping? I swear I just read that. No, I'm flipping between tabs here. Did I not just exactly read that? I'll be down... But now I don't see where it was, though. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Sorry for slowing down the video here. Let me just read it in case I actually didn't. Maybe I'm just completely tripping. That's very possible. Anyway, here it is from Charles Gasparino. As I do my reporting on Ripple case and the SEC's definition of what is or isn't a security, I find that Gary Gensler, at least according to past statements, is even more draconian than Jay Clayton. He suggests Ethereum is a security. Try putting that one back in the bottle. And then there's this. Oh, this is from attorney John Deaton. And check this out. So now we're getting into the part where we got to talk a little bit about Joe Lubin, co-founder of Ethereum, and he's the founder of Consensus also. Consensus is basically trying to do all things blockchain with the utilizing the Ethereum blockchain, basically. But anyway. So John Deaton tagged my fellow XRP YouTubers, digital asset investor Brad Kimes and Crypto Eddie, and wrote the following. You need to read this letter by the SEC. 1, it provides names of SEC personnel that can be reached. And 2, it corroborates everything we've learned and is consistent with DAI's bombshell video from earlier today with Charles Gasparino. So that's the one that I was referencing at the outset of this video. Where we learned that there's some corroboration between the SEC and Consensus and Joe Lubin. So anyway, the SEC is withholding Valerie... am I going to try and read that last name? It's like S-Z-C-Z-E-P-A-N... It's like Shizapanic? It's like Shizapanic? Nailed it! Yeah, that's how you say that. So anyway, the SEC is withholding Valerie Shizapanic's notes with Hinman's December 13th, 2017 meeting with Joe Lubin and Consensus. The SEC is withholding Panic's notes related to her March 2018 call with Consensus. It is also withholding attorney Michael Seaman's notes. Now, Seaman was at 2 separate meetings. Take one guess which company. Did you guess, guys? It's Consensus. Consensus met with the SEC in addition to December 13th, 2017, and March 2018, again on April 23rd, 2018, and again on June 8th, 2018, just 6 days before the Hinman June 14th, 2018 speech, which is, of course, where Ethereum got the golden ticket, the free pass, right? And John continues. Joe Lubin and Consensus spent a lot of time with the SEC. Now keep in mind, this is just what we are able to piece together from redacted and incomplete depositions and letter motions. From December 2017 until June 8th, 2018, we know of 4 separate meetings. I guarantee you that there is a lot more contact than these 4 meetings. This doesn't include emails, text messages, other phone/Zoom calls. Earlier today, DAI dropped the Charles Gasparino video and tweet related to the Brooklyn Project, Consensus, and Joe Lubin. And so that's what this thing is actually called here, the Brooklyn Project. And it's just a get-together of the SEC and Joe Lubin and Consensus, basically, right? And so then John Deaton writes, Charles Gasparino was told that they were working with the SEC and the CFTC to create a self-regulated entity sanctioned by the SEC and CFTC. SEC is withholding notes related to 3 separate meetings with the CFTC, meetings in April, July, and August 2018. So they're holding this back. And the only reason we even know about this is because DAI, credit to him, found this video where Charles Gasparino had done the work and reported on this in May of 2018. So Charles Gasparino, he tweeted May 10th, 2018. He was talking about this. And this topic wasn't exactly hot in the news, so it's something that I think in the world of crypto, I think pretty well just flew under the radar until it got dug back up here. But this is a bombshell. Like this is gigantic. And the SEC seems to be hiding documentation about it. How about that? Go figure, right? And then there was this. John Deaton wrote the following about Charles Gasparino. Finally, a journalist asking a very fair question. Why file the most significant SEC enforcement action in modern history as you're walking out the door? And so here's what he's referencing. This is what Charles Gasparino tweeted out the other day. One question I have for Jay Clayton, and calls are out to him. So mind you, he's at Fox Business Network. He can get in touch with Jay Clayton. I'm not convinced he's going to get an answer back. I don't think he will, but I could be wrong. I could be pleasantly surprised. Although even I say pleasantly surprised, his answer is going to be BS even if he answers. You know that, right? But anyway, Charles, he's doing the right thing reaching out to Jay Clayton. So anyway, one question I have for Jay Clayton, and calls are out to him. Why in your last days as SEC chair do you do a case like the one against Ripple/XRP? Maybe there's a good explanation. I should also point out the government revolving door is nothing new, so him working for a firm that is investing in competitive cryptocurrencies like Ethereum token isn't illegal. Still, the timing is interesting. Seems like something you punt to new admin, as Steve Mnuchin did with radical GSE reform story developing. Yeah, and so as far as whether or not something's illegal, that's in line with what I've been saying. I said I don't have any evidence that something specifically has been done illegally by Jay Clayton. I'm just saying this doesn't pass the smell test. The optics clearly are not good. This is rather self-serving, and it seems like an abuse of his position potentially. Like that's what it looks like, right? At a minimum, probably not ethical. That's what it looks like from the outside looking in. And then as far as Gasparino giving the benefit of the doubt to Jay Clayton, saying there could be a good explanation, totally respectable. There could be, but I don't think there is. I don't, having followed this since December, I doubt it. I think there's about a 0% chance that there's a good explanation. In fact, consider this, and I'm not going to read through this, but this was an article from The Block Crypto on December 23rd, 2020, the day after the lawsuit came down. This was titled, Former SEC Commissioner Says Ripple Lawsuit Will Cause Multi-billion-dollar Losses to Innocent Third Parties. And so this former commissioner wrote a letter to Jay Clayton before this happened, and he did it anyway. And it did cause billion-dollar losses for XRP holders. Absolutely. It sure as hell did. And And so this commissioner, in the letter that he wrote, and I've covered this before, so I don't want to go through it in this video. I guess I can read this quote here. This might be it. I think this is the quote I wanted. Let me read this. I think this is what I wanted. Actually, let me start here. But simply initiating the action will impose substantial harm on innocent holders of XRP, regardless of the ultimate resolution. Upon learning of the proceeding, intermediaries will cease transacting in XRP because of the associated legal risk. The resulting reduction in liquidity will cause XRP's value to decline. Yeah, exactly, and that is what happened, and he was correct. And he said, I am aware of no instance in which the simple announcement of a commission enforcement proceeding has, absent allegations of fraud, misrepresentation, or omission, caused multi-billion-dollar losses to innocent third parties. Creating precedent and imposing losses of this sort raises public policy concerns that would benefit from the views of an incoming administration. And so indeed, there was no precedent for this, but apparently this individual, this is Grunfest, right? I believe this is, Joseph Grunfest, former commissioner. He thinks that he's concerned because this could set precedent, that this is somehow now magically okay to do this, harming investors that they're supposed to protect right here. There is no good reason, there was no sense of urgency. And so I have a very difficult time imagining that Jay Clayton had a good reason for doing this on his very last day out the door. I think there's about a 0% chance, but it's perfectly reasonable for Charles Gasparino to ask the question, of course, do what a journalist does, right? So that's perfectly fine. I'm just sharing with you my opinion, my subjective opinion, which is that I find it infinitely unlikely that there's actually some good reason here. So there's going to be a lot to talk about in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. It's been a hell of a roller coaster ride, and it's only going to get more ridiculous here. So buckle up, my friends, but that's it for this one. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.